Good morning, traders. How we doing out there? We're back in this market, and it looks like the market said, forget the tariffs, forget whatever Trump says, because it doesn't really matter right now. We're going higher as the market is pushing. And this morning, I think that we can just keep on ripping. There's some stocks out there. There's some setups. We'll talk all about it here, of course, on the show, looking to get some trades in, and got the swing trade on Picard. Actually opened up a crypto position, at least a crypto stock, right? We'll talk a little bit more about those stocks coming up here, guys. We got a great show for you guys today. I'm excited to get towards the action. And man, there's a lot of stocks that I can see moving right now. And then some big flyers. We got to get right to the show, guys. I got to get to the playbook. Let's get things started. Let's get right to the playbook. We'll take a look at what's moving out in the market right now. We'll take a look at what stocks you guys should be keeping an eye open for this morning. Let's get to the first thing, of course, which is the playbook, which is every single morning given to you guys on our Twitter. If you're not following us, you're missing out. And check out this morning's playbook. All right, traders, let's take a look at the playbook. First up, we'll go ahead and just take a look at the first stock that I'll be watching, and we're going to go through some crypto names here, guys. There's plenty of names to watch, of course. First one up, let's go to some Ethereum, because I think this is probably the best looking setup, and I talked about this yesterday of how this one could easily get back to that trend line and really get going. I think the real buy was down here in the 54s, but if you didn't get it, you could still look for the breakout now as we get back to this trend line, and we drew this trend line on the 10th, updated it on the 23rd in June, and this starts to really kind of make the move. Remember, on the 23rd was when it was down here. So I was looking for it to come back to that trend line. Just that move alone could have got you a 37% move here in Ethereum. This ETHU ETF moves all around. You got to be careful with it. It does go up and down and pulls back. So sometimes you might want to take some quick gains and build some cushion on this name. But if you can handle a little volatility, this name's a high flyer, and it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. Let's get to another high flyer, right? Let's go to some more speculative names in Ethereum. You got the SBET this morning already taking a lift there towards the 1950s. It just recently pulled back to 19. I was even thinking about buying the 19s. It's staying up there. We'll look to see if this one can keep going. Of course, I was watching this one yesterday. It did make a nice little pullback to 1450, a drive right back through that level, and has been hot, hot, hot. Of course, BMNR, probably the hottest stock out in the market right now. This thing went to 160. Will it get to 200? I can't trade this, but I will show you guys it, at least so you know about it and know that it exists out there. Let's keep going into crypto playbook this morning. We'll go to a little bit outside of the Ethereum space. Let's go to a different name here. Well, actually, there's one more in the Ethereum space, the BTBT. Bit Digital will be an interesting one. Of course, this one made some adjustments to actually start investing in Ethereum, and it's looking like it wants to break 4 today. It had a nice little pullback this morning. I don't expect much on the pullback, and it could get going even right here. So we'll keep it on watch to see if it gets back above that 4 and really starts to rock and roll here. Not looking too bad this morning. Of course, you guys are here. Trade the pool. We're going through the playbook. And if you guys are watching out there and tuning in, hit the like button. Let's keep moving and see what we can find. All right, guys, let's keep it going. Let's see what else we can come up with today, this morning, and see what we find on the playbook. All right, let's keep going. The next one up, let's go to some crypto here. And this is the actual one that I have, guys. I took a little bit of some Bitcoin action, BITO, on the swing side of things. Looking to see if this starts to move there towards the 22. I actually took 300 shares this morning. Willing to add if I get a pullback towards the 21. You guys can see this setup as clear as day, right? So you can see how we broke out above that. We can now start using that as support, right? So I would look to see if we could pull back anywhere near in this spot here for kind of some ads, under 21 towards 2090s, but we're already starting to make the move. I actually got this at 2109, so essentially 1 cent down right now. I just opened it up just recently, looking for these crypto names to run. I'm always going to tell you guys when I'm long it, and we'll see how this one plays out. Of course, you guys can also take a look at MSTR. That's another play today that is making a move in Bitcoin, and I think these could continue to push. You could also look at the miners, right? CleanSpark, Mara, CleanSpark was one that I was watching yesterday. Now Mara making a move in the pre-market towards the 18. CleanSpark could be following through 12 very shortly. We'll see what happens there in the miners and in Bitcoin overall. Watch for the move, guys. I think it's looking good today. And I think today could be a gas pedal type of day. We'll take a look at the overall market as the SPY is climbing back there almost to 622. We'll keep an eye out to see what happens there. But man, a lot of action and a lot of stocks kind of making the move. We'll go through the watch list also. We can take a look at different stocks that you guys are watching in the market. Let me know out there, what are you guys taking a look at? I'm excited to keep on trading and catch what you guys are commenting in the chat. What's up? Good morning to you guys out there. Say hello and let's keep moving. All right, we'll take a look at the SPY. Can it keep climbing back towards, of course, Thursday's high? We did get a slight pullback, right? Slight pullback 2 days. Will we just continue to push higher? I mean, yes, this is a slight pullback, but what did I talk about yesterday? It seems like we're getting the sideways action. We're not getting a real pullback. Like, to me, this still is in the channel. It's a 1% pullback. And as long as we don't break that 9 EMA, we're not even really kind of coming down here. And you can see it. There was plenty of times to break it down in the past, in the last kind of 2 weeks, month. And now we're not even pulling back to the 9 EMA, and we're having a strong morning. And of course, you guys know how I was watching AMD yesterday. This thing is on my radar this morning to see if maybe this gets hot in some tech area. We got so much more to talk about here and so many stocks to get into. So if you guys have a stock, keep throwing them up in the chat. I'm going to keep things rocking and rolling. We'll go to the Sunrise Report and take a look at what's moving out there and what stocks are moving and why. Of course, there's a lot of stocks have some good news out there and some stocks getting hit a little bit on some downward action. We'll talk a little bit more about some downgrades that are in the market. You guys, let's kick things off with the Sunrise Report. This is where you get what stocks are moving and why. Let's keep it moving. Let's go now to the Sunrise Report. All right, first up on the Sunrise Report this morning, of course, the futures were kind of climbing higher here. Dow futures were up about 98 points. Of course, this was after, of course, the latest round of tariff headlines from President Donald Trump. S&P futures were up about 0.2%. NASDAQ 100 futures up about 0.2%. The markets were cautious Tuesday as Trump reasserted his commitment to a new tariff package affecting 14 countries, with duties ranging from 25% all the way up to 40% and set to take an effect at August 1st. A 50% copper import tariff was also announced. This is major news as we'll take a look at copper today and copper stocks to see if those can continue to run, along with the warning of a possible 200% tariff on pharmaceuticals. Yes, you heard that correct. Trump is thinking about a 200% tariff on pharmaceutical. Maybe that was just, tongue in cheek. But Trump did suggest that those delays would be given for like 12 to 18 months. So he would give those companies some time to adjust. There will be no extensions or changes, though. Trump did post on Tuesday. The stance briefly rattled the markets before being offset by the signs of flexibility and enforcement and reports of diplomatic progress. But the truth is, guys, is that he's starting to be a little bit tougher on that stance of the extensions and changes. Why? Because he's hearing the talk and the conversation. Everyone is kind of pushing him back on the way that he's going about the tariffs. I think even the Republicans are not happy with the way he's doing it. All right, let's keep going, guys. Behind the scenes, why the tariff delay? Of course, according to Wall Street Journal, the decision to push the tariffs activation to August 1st followed pressure by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who cited progress with India and the EU, but that he needed more time. Well, I don't understand how much time you need, but hey, maybe that's what it is, and that's what they need. So they got it now, guys. I will say that I'm already seeing AMD start to make a move here in the pre-market. I think we might just see a liftoff today. I'm calling it, guys. I'm calling for the bigger move right out the gates today, and I got to get things ready here. I got to get my day trade account ready to rock and roll here. Sorry about that, guys. I had my swing trade idea ready to go. Let's go ahead and get that day trade account ready to go here. Got to make some money today, guys. This isn't looking too bad at all. All right, we'll keep it going here. Let's go ahead. Let me get this up right quick. So, because we might take an AMD trade right now, guys. This is setting up here for a little breakout here. We'll see if we get it. And AMD loves to just make a move in the morning and then you can't even catch it. So I'll be watching for a breakout here in AMD, maybe get a position right now, at least a starter to see if maybe it wants to go for the 139 break right here in the pre-market. All right, let's see if I can set this up, get this going here. Been watching this setup here, and I just like the way it looks. Even the 1 hour looks pretty interesting there. Yeah, it looks pretty good off of that 138.50. So we're risking about 50 cents on this, right? So we got to understand that. I think we could risk about like $100 here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go 200 shares, try to get this started here. Let me get this going. $200 shares. I can only do like 100, I think, in the pre-market. So not getting it right now. So, hey, let me see if I can get 75 out there. I got some buying power block there, but I'll work that out in a second here, guys. We'll figure that out in a second. Let's see what happens there on AMD, see if it goes higher. I like to set up on the hourly. I can show you guys it. It just looks clear as day. Yesterday, it was trying to break out above this 139. Now you can see all this left-hand side. As long as we can get a breakout above this kind of trend line, we're going to be looking good to close that gap there. And you can see how we're already kind of approaching that break. My biggest thing is I don't want to miss it if it's a big break here and we just start to get a run. We'll see what happens. Maybe it's a little bit of the FOMO in me, but I feel like the Qs are ready to rock and roll again. At least they're looking like that this morning. All right, let's keep going with the Sunrise Report. Going back to the action, let's go to the stocks here. Let's go to T-Mobile. First one up here as T-Mobile downgraded to underweight here by KeyBank with a $200 target versus a $235.97 close. We'll see what happens here. This stock is moving down already in the pre-market. Analysts say the upside potential has dried up for now. And so we're seeing that drop there in T-Mobile. This could be coming back down into the channel, maybe back down towards the 215s. So, of course, this has been stuck in a channel. And when we have these kind of channels, we can really kind of just come after it and maybe make some money right here, guys. So it's not a bad looking channel there to definitely get after. We'll look to see if this could break down and we're able to capture a move closer down towards that support, right? So if we've been down here before, we want to see it break this level here and then start moving down there towards the prior support. There's a level down here around the 220s where we could be heading in T-Mobile. Let's go to Verona Pharmaceuticals here, VRNA. This stock just ripping to new highs as the biotech just keeps pushing on now towards 105 as Merck will acquire the UK-based respiratory drug maker in a $10 billion deal to strengthen its cardiopulmonary pipeline. Shares surged on the news as Merck shares were flat. Of course, you could take a look at MRK. We'll see if this goes down today. I think this could drop a little bit, but this was already propping up for an up move. So I'm going to look for a quick wipeout move out the gates, maybe to 80. And then we'll look to see if this comes right back towards 83, but not looking too bad there. It's, of course, Verona is kind of here on a buyout, so it's not really a play that I'm going to trade, but it's something to look at. Bank of America sees a summer rally. Of course, Bank of America's technical strategist says the S&P 500 could hit 65, 69. So on the SPY, right, we're talking up there towards 650. We'll see if we get up there in the summer months, right? Will we just continue to chug along? It's time to take a look at it. He's citing the bullish momentum is similar to 2018's rally. We'll see if that's true. All right, keeping forward, of course, copper futures, we're down 2% after spiking towards record high. We could take a look at the copper stocks this morning. That's what we'll be watching. Of course, FCX did pop there to 49. A lot of traders will have this on the radar. I think that we got to be careful the first day on this news. Of course, if you got that pop yesterday and rode that up, well, hey, congratulations. But I think you might get a dip back into this 45 and then eventually a move higher. So we'll see what happens with these copper names. Also, SCCO is another one that I like, which is Southern Copper Corp. All right, moving over now to Starbucks. As Starbucks in the news here as shares are climbing after CNBC reported that Starbucks China could fetch a $10 billion valuation in a stake sale. The deal likely won't close before the year's end, and this is massive news implications also for one of the stocks that I really love, which is Bros. Bros, of course, has been going up, and this is interesting. If Starbucks is willing to sell their China kind of assets, that could really help Starbucks start to make a lift and get out of China, which is a place that has been struggling for years. And Starbucks has insane amount of exposure that's been limiting their growth. And if you take a look, now we're starting to break this longer term trend line and really could start to see a climb in Starbucks. As much as I'm a bear in Starbucks, I just might have just become a bull. Why was I a bear? Because of the China exposure. All that was not good for Starbucks. Now we'll see. Is this an ability to actually get it to spike? We'll see. It's not a bad play this morning. Definitely getting the spike above that 96. And it's going to be on the radar out there. We'll see what happens there in Starbucks. All right, continuing going here. We'll see what some other trades are setting up there. Let's keep it moving. Let's see what other ones we can come up with. It's a lot to look at here. Let's keep going in the Sunrise Report. Next one up, AES. The AES Corp is something to look at. Utilities company that's getting a nice little spike there towards the 13. This soared on a report that from Bloomberg that the energy firm is exploring a sale amid interest of infrastructure-focused buyers. So this is really cool news for the stock because it really brings the interest to the stock. And you can see the stock lifting right now as we speak. This just bounced off of the 1260. It looks like it's now starting to make a break for it. And of course, you get this trend line look. You just broke back down from that. And now we could look for an extension above the 13s here. This actually looking really good here, guys. Really pretty play here in AES this morning. Smaller name with potential to continue to run. And of course, Bloomberg rumors are some of the best, especially Wall Street and Bloomberg are two that I always look at. Speaking of Wall Street Journal reports, let's go to UNH here, as UNH is down 1.2% after UNH is under pressure following a Wall Street Journal report that says that the DOJ is probing its Medicare billing practices. This could be the real disaster that catches all the people that bought the falling knife in UNH. This is a big reason why I tried to stay away from this stock. I haven't even taken a trade and have stayed away from it for this reason. Sometimes these look like awesome opportunities, but this is also what you call catching a falling knife. And this knife could be cutting some people really quickly. All right, we'll keep going, guys. Let's move on. We'll go now to Solar Edge. We got 3 more news headlines to get to before the open. Smash the like out there if you guys are enjoying the stream today. It's good to see you guys out there. Vic, what's up? Proke, baby. And Iman, what are you looking at, man? Good morning to you guys out there. If you guys have a stock you guys are watching, here's your PR Proke. Look at that thing going. Of course, that thing has been a strong stock since yesterday. The worst part is I called it out to the key yesterday and then didn't trade it. I was looking for this cut down through the 121, looking for it to come back through that 125, and then it took off what? Nothing but 285%, $3.75, and it's continued. But hey, that's all I can do as being the host here at Trade the Pool is get you guys on the right stocks, get you guys some levels, and then make you guys call the shots and make that money, of course. All right, we'll see what else is out there. SBET definitely in play today. It's on my radar also, so don't worry about it. We'll be watching for it. I might take a trade on that bad boy too. So, hey, you got it, guys. Mitch, you gotta proke it. You got to proke it, man. Just proke it good, baby. Another one moving this morning. Sugar P, baby. Security and Protection Service, a dollar stock, just broke $1 there. There's a couple names at BMGL, Medical Care Company, but this one looks like already a fade. Remember how I talk about 1, 2, 3, the big move? Maybe you get one more spike, but then watch for the fail. right? So I'll be a little bit careful on that BMGL. There's some other ones out there though. MBIO, that's a repeated offender, as we call it. We'll see if this gets back up there through the 350s and tries to actually make a move. This one, not feeling too confident about. We'll see what some other ones out there. SLXN, of course, it's a known runner too. And of course, we still got BMNR. I don't know how you come after this thing here, but crazy ride in BMNR. All right, let's keep going, team. We'll go through the rest of the headlines here. Let's go to Solar Edge, SEDG, as SEDG is downgraded to neutral by Goldman Sachs, citing uncertainty in the residential solar demand. This is the exact reason why some people were calling TAN to the upside, and I was like, no way, man. This is just a trick. Like, it's been up here, up here, up here. You know how many times TAN has shown a breakout and then just failed it? It just did it recently. I don't know if I can trust TAN and that breakout in solar stocks. All right, keep them going here. Let's go now to Mobileye. This is one that I kind of like, man. It's interesting, but it did do here. It was sell 45 million shares of the autonomous vehicle firm in a secondary public offering. So, of course, that is giving them some more money, but maybe they're trying to hit the gas pedal at the right time. I think we got to continue to watch this company and see if we can get back above 22. If you get back above 22, this is one that I would be looking at for me as an investment. So I'm going to put a year radar on this and look to see if this can get back up through that 22. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other ones here. Last one up, Bloom Energy. And I talked about this name yesterday with the energy storage that could continue to make the lift. And this stock made the lift yesterday. Overnight, gets the boost. Upgraded to overweight from JP Morgan. Analyst says it could benefit from new incentive in Trump's latest tax bill. Who talked about this yesterday? You know your boy Money Mitch, and JP Morgan shouldn't be hiring that analyst, should just be asking Money Mitch, because they would have got it one day earlier. I would have upgraded Bloom Energy yesterday, but hey, we'll give the JP Morgan guy a little bit of a benefit, because I'm sure he did the same thing that I did and dove deep with some AI. But hey, this tells you that, hey, we're on to something here, and the energy storage play is definitely a play to look at. FLNC has been a name that has remained hot here. And this is all about what? Data centers and trying to find a way to stay off of the grid. We'll talk more about that during the show. Let me know if you guys like conversation like this on themes, where I can give you guys themes early and stocks that you guys could be watching and potentially trading. Hit the like button. Let's get the show started for real. Let's go to that countdown. Let's get the trading started. Let's get after the day. It's time for Trade the Pool. Hugo wants 200, baby. You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at. What up out there, traders? Let's get it started. Let's bring in Michael Noss. What's going on, man? We going for the all-time highs again?
Looks like it, right?
Heck yeah.
Again,
let's run over those bears. Where are the bears at?
I was hoping for a little more of a pullback so I could load up on some stuff, but
no,
yeah,
man, they're
like
gonna give you a shot, man. They're gonna give us a shot, and they don't want pullbacks. They want this everlasting rotation to keep us going higher. Of course, what's really going on in the market is, I think it's just that, man. There's just this wicked rotation now. We know money's still on the sideline. Money's still got to come into the market somehow, and the bill put new bets on. I think that's what we saw a little bit of yesterday. That's why you're seeing so many analysts come out with but now I like this because the bill's out. Well, another thing is, they knew that yesterday, but they were waiting to see the price action to match the trade idea, like the thesis, right?
nothing like price action to change sentiment, right? Like
Right,
it's
exactly,
funny
Michael.
how,
So I think they were sitting on their desk. They had all these ideas, right? They're like, okay, so these are all the stocks that we think are going to get affected by this. Let's see which one does well, and tomorrow we throw out the note.
yeah. Yeah, and again, this is what you want to see. You want to see new policy come in. You want to see that new policy digested. You want to see it rotating
Yeah.
into different stocks. That is perfect, right?
Yeah.
It, again, Ralph Alcampora, the creator of the CMT, is always quoting, "Rotation is the lifeblood of a bull market." So that's what
Yeah.
we want to see more of. It'll be interesting. I've heard people, now talking even about biotechs, which is kind of hilarious to me because this has been the one sector who just hasn't been able to get anything going. But I just saw a couple clips on Twitter this morning when I was at the gym talking about these. I don't know who they are, but smart people essentially saying that they're thinking that this is finally going to catch up. So if we have that, that comes
Yeah.
with healthcare. Healthcare is a huge percentage. Everyone's talking about oil when we had the Iraq type of thing, that oil is going to be a big deal. Do you want to, let's do, I don't know if anyone in the chat will get it. How much do you think oil is a percentage of the S&P 500? I'll give people a couple seconds to answer, but spoiler, it's not a lot.
No.
Roughly 3%. So
All
if every energy company tomorrow in the S&P 500 ceased to exist, the S&P 500 would go down 3%. If they all
Yeah.
went to zero, right? Healthcare is a much bigger portion. Let me get the healthcare S&P. I think it's over 10. So essentially, we don't need energy to move in order for the S&P 500 to take place, but we kind of do need healthcare, and this is the healthcare chart that's done absolutely nothing for an incredibly long period of time. So if this starts to get going, right, we already have financials, which we know. So we know tech has been moving, right? Tech is at all-time highs. You see that in the Qs. Financials and healthcare, those are the kind of the three big sectors of the S&P 500. So financials hit a new all-time highs. That's great. And then, but look at the lagging here in healthcare. If this starts to go, it starts to catch up. Mitch, I know you like a leader to laggard play. If this is going to kind of break this simple downtrend that we've got on the go here,
Yeah.
I don't know. That to me is the next kind of screaming bull. So then healthcare, right, is obviously going to be related to biotechs. These things are going to move somewhat in tandem. So if they're right, and biotechs are going to be interesting, and the argument that they made, which I think makes perfect sense, is that the last administration seemed very anti mergers and acquisitions, buyouts, things like that. This administration seems to have just given complete carte blanche to buy out whoever you want. And that's quite often how biotechs grow, right? Is you get a company that's got like a promising phase 2 trial, but maybe they don't have enough money to go through. And then Johnson & Johnson or someone comes along and just buys them for, hey, I'll throw 10 billion at you just in case this drug works and I want it myself, that type of thing. So if that's going to happen, again, biotechs and then healthcare, like we always talk about in the show, we're just looking for what's going to be that next sector, right? NVIDIA is great and it's making new all-time highs again today, but we're trying to look for what's next. What are they going to buy next? Maybe biotechs.
I think another thing to kind of think about, right, is what's really going on also underneath the hood here, right? Why would biotech start to get the lift? As simply as some people are really betting now that we're getting a cut in September. So of course we're talking about not the next FOMC meeting, which is July 30th. We're talking about September 17th. And I think that's
And
one
I
that's
also,
on right now. And
I also think the market's looking out far enough because I just learned, and you probably already knew this, but JPOW is done in the end of the year.
yeah, 2026.
So and Trump hires a new guy. So there's going to be one question on that job interview. Like, how much are you going to lower rates? Right? The guy who says the highest number, he's in. So there's a guarantee that next year, at the very least, rates are going to get cut like insanely, right? We're probably going back to zero.
Right off the top, right? And so the market loves to do what, right? Look forward.
Front runs. Yep.
The market doesn't like to look back. It likes to look forward, sometimes really forward if it's focusing on two things, right? And I was going to bring this up a second ago, but it's fun that it comes in another way of bringing it in. One professor told me really quickly in my finance studies, and he said just this: dude, stop looking that way, stop looking this way, focus on what's fiscal policy and what's monetary policy. And if you can really understand just those two, you can make a lot of money just by understanding that. So what's the fiscal policy pointing to? What's the monetary? And if you can really kind of position around that, you can just gains from that, right? As an investor. Of course, that's more longer term positioning mindset, but it really does help if you understand that, right? Because if we're going to go into a rate cutting cycle, there's certain stocks that will lift, right? And that explains the interest in certain areas.
Well, and you don't need to go that far back to have a perfect example of that, right? This is when right here is when they started raising rates, and then you had the bear market and all the craziness, and then right here is where they stopped raising rates, and then the market goes up. So yeah, you don't need to be you don't really need to look that much. It's one of the oldest tenets of trading is don't fight the Fed. If the Fed is going to lower rates, you want to be long stock. If the Fed's going to raise rates, you generally want to be out or short stock. Because imagine if the first rate cut, you had sold everything. I think you'd probably be somewhere in this area. And then you just sat out until they said they were done. Because he was very clear. I'm going to raise rates. He said higher for longer. It was very, very clear. And then when he was done raising rates, he was very, very clear. So if you got out when they were done raising rates, then you kind of just skipped all of this nonsense right here. Just sat on cash for a long period of time. Cash that's earning you a pretty decent amount now that rates are up, right? So you could have just made 5% while everyone else was sweating this prolonged bear market, which a lot of people, I think, forget about already, that we've had 2 bear markets in essentially 3 years. And this one was bad. Like, it doesn't look bad looking back at it now, but you had Tesla down like 70%. And Netflix was down 60-70%. Meta was down like half, like a lot of these names. So it's very, very interesting, right? But I see a little chat about hymns. That's on the go
man.
here.
It's a little frustrating on this one yesterday, guys. This was one of those where if I had a system yesterday, I probably would have had a good gainer on hymns. It got the jump there to 50-75 yesterday. And I just wasn't watching it. I was taking care of the kids. So I was just like, I had a break even stop, and it just came back and stopped me out after I had like 200 shares at 49. So 49 kept being the level yesterday that it kept going above, breaking out and coming back to. So today, what happens? Right before this move, cut down towards 49. It goes to 49 right on the dot, and now just shoots higher, right? So that's the level of breakdown that you're a little bit concerned here, and you have a good gap to go after. I think this is an interesting play right here, and I like to bring these quick, like to mention in the chat. I'll look for the exact news right now, but that's what it's all about, James. Thanks for helping us out. Thanks for helping other traders out. And like always, you're not telling them to go trade it, but you're at least putting it on the radar, and that's a definite plus for all traders. Look at that, hymns already moving. Honestly, if I had my day trade count working right now, something's wrong with it. I need to fix it. But I would be jumping on this hymns. I don't have buying power because that's why on my swing account, that's why I'm not grabbing hymns right here. I'd like it closest to 50, but you can see already as we're talking, it was at 50-30. Now it just went 50-60, 50-70. I'm in on Bitcoin names, man. Bitcoin names. I'm already in on Bido, Michael, and I'm looking for a Bitcoin run today.
Yeah, just so he's saying expanding into Canada. Do they know that we have free healthcare? We don't need service. Like, I don't know. Do they just deliver stuff to your door? Like, I guess a deal with the Canadian government is something, but we don't have that big of a population. So it'll be interesting. Again, I'm looking to buy it because my system says to buy it, but
we'll bring it up. We'll bring it up. All right. So Hims and Hers is bringing holistic weight loss program to Canada, timed with anticipated availability of genetic semaglutide anywhere in the world following the Sava acquisition. So it looks like it's a program for Canada. And of course, yes, you guys get it paid for, but I'm sure somebody's paying the bill. So, hey.
That's for sure.
Somebody's paying the bill, right? So, hey, there it is. That money would be going to Hims. So
market likes it. So I like it. But yeah, back to your Bitcoin. I really do. I put out actually a tweet this morning it just felt like if we take a
It
look
was that
here,
time, man. It was that time.
grab right. Well,
It's that
this
time.
is this is now. I always like to analyze the 24-hour market, but I kind of put out the tweet right here because this just is insanely like, look at this weekend action. This is Saturday and Sunday. When do you ever see Bitcoin this tight? This is crazy. And same
Yeah.
right here. Bitcoin never gets this kind of just tight. It looks like maybe we're gonna go again. We got to remember 110. Right, every time we hit 110, right here was 110, 110, 1, 110, 2. We rejected from there. We hit 110 again. We rejected from there. I'm with you. I think that we feels like we're just building up pressure for a large move. And then with that, right, I see Rando mentioning Ethereum. With that, the rest of them are probably going to go, right? So Ethereum is actually relatively strong here, breaking out of this base. And then Solana is actually looking like it's breaking into this base. So we have kind of a 2-3 week base on a lot of the major cryptos that look like it's one of those things where we could get a little bit of a break out. Then, as we know, price does not mean reverting, but volatility is. So when volatility gets really, really tight, at some point you need an expansion of volatility. Generally speaking, it's going to be in the direction of the trend. So I, for one, am most interested in Solana just because I think there's a lot of room here to these highs. And then I look at this huge long-term base here in Solana. This between kind of 250 here and 223, that to me is a huge number that we could take a look at. So yeah, but kind of with one go, they'll all go, right? You won't get Ethereum down, Solana up, that kind of thing.
Q's moving, Q's starting to go, and man, I think there's going to be there's so many plays to look at today, guys. For me, this is so a lot of times I talk about brake pedal, gas pedal. It just feels gas pedal to me. It just feels like a gas pedal type of day. Another thing to think about, right? So many people were worried about this date for so long. This was the expiration date of the tariff deadline, right? So I feel like it kind of makes sense for Trump to come out here pumping his chest out today or something. So I'll be watching for comments from Trump. I'm watching for positive comments coming out. And I think that, you can very easily just flip the narrative. They'd already pushed it back to August. So people are not really caring about tariff conversation. More and more talks of rate cuts coming in September, earnings coming up. Where's the negative coming? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the one thing that I would say. And also don't only look at tech names today. I think you're going to see an overall lift around. We've talked about the retail names. AMD just broke that 139. This is also looking like potential tech day. So, hey, watch out for moves. AMD now starting to make the move above that 139.20s. I like the move today. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like this Solana attack was talking about right here.
Yeah.
2x Solana ETF. So I like again, I don't want to look at that chart because you want to look at this, which is the actual thing that's going to mirror. This to me is a nice looking chart. So if this chart is going to go, so I just checked there because I just didn't know about volume, but average is 1 million shares a day. So
yeah, I'm looking into a little bit more of how this one works. So I'm looking into it right now.
So yeah, it just says straight ETF, which should be good.
Yes, it says it gains exposure through Solana future contracts rather than direct investments in Solana. So that's the way it's being able to do this. It's doing Solana futures contracts.
Just like this ETHU, right? So this is doing 2x Ethereum. And then there's what, BTCZ?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's the inverse, but there's a couple of these. So you could short the inverse, I guess, if you think Bitcoin's going to break out. A lot of these 2x leveraged. Again, the beauty of trading equities, right, is you can, instead of buying Solana, buy 2 times Solana. Instead of buying Ethereum, buy 2 times Ethereum. And then if you're right, obviously you can make 2 times more money. Or, again, the way I always say, tell people to look at this, just look at it as you're risking, or you're applying half the amount of buying power, right? So if you're going to risk $500 on the trade, instead of applying X in buying power, you just have to apply Y, and that will be 2 times less because you're looking for 2 times more move. But when it comes to these things, man, looks good. So we're gonna pay a close attention to this level right here on Bitcoin. I think that's going to be about everything today, and
All
that should
right.
happen same time as Q's.
We'll see how the trading goes. I will guarantee one thing though, guys. We will not be missing a minute of our live footage. So you don't have to worry about us being like Pam out there.
Do you watch
Shots fired.
you watch
Kaboom,
CoffeeZilla?
kaboom, kaboom. Oh yeah, I do. I do, man. He's gonna love that
Dude's
one.
going he's going
He's
insane.
gonna love it. He's
He's
gonna love that one. He's like, "Are you got to be kidding me?" Like, so this
yeah,
morning she got asked again about it, and Trump said, "Are you guys still talking about Jeffrey?"
yeah. Don't talk about it the day after you release that there's nothing going on. It's enough. That's
Nothing
enough
to
to talk about
see.
anymore.
Nothing to see. I always love it, man. The government cover-ups are on both sides, man. These Republicans and Democrats, they act like they're on two separate sides, man. They're on one party. We all know how it works. It's the party that makes more money, man. The party doesn't stop. That's for sure.
Well,
all right,
speaking of
guys.
political parties, right? Is Elon still chirping about, oh, we're up a bit today, so maybe he stopped.
Oh, I'm
Shut up
telling
on
you.
Twitter for a bit.
No, I mean, it still has the potential of going up, even though with him chirping, man. I feel like people forget that like Elon doesn't do like like he doesn't do crap for Tesla anymore. He just is the head of Tesla. It's not like he's sitting down and like being like, oh, so why didn't they do the Model Y 300,000? Let's call that guy. No, that's not what Elon does. Elon just hangs out all day. That's why he has so much time to talk on Twitter. That guy, he's going to meetings, but he's just listening in, right?
Well, and again, you signed up for this, right? Anyone who owns Tesla at this point has signed up for the crazy, right? You're hoping that
ride.
right, that you get a bunch of crazy stuff, and then eventually he does robots. That's the deal you kind of signed up for, is that insanity and then also robots. And so if you go back and look at this chart at all, this chart has had many like 80, 70, 80% drawdowns throughout its, right? There's a nice 50% drawdown. This is actually the worst performing of the Mag 7. Here's another 70% drawdown, right? And then there was another 50% drawdown. So yeah, you just sign up for it. Right? You're not going to get a nice smooth ride with something like this. You're going to get insanity, and then you're hoping one day you look back and it's $1,000. Right?
All
That's
right.
all you can hope for.
Let's run through some more charts. We got about 10 minutes here. So you guys out there, we'll do a little ticker time also. You guys drop some tickers you guys are looking at there. Tesla, definitely one of those tickers to watch today. There's so many names. That Surf Air continuing yesterday. That thing's been up massively. I think Archer is moving already this morning. There's so many names to kind of look at out there, guys. So you got to keep your head on a swivel on a day like today with plenty of names ripping. Man, it's going to be a fun day if it continues the way it is. One stock that'd be a little careful is SoFi. I feel like that one's a little extended away from that 21 look. So watch out for the traders in SoFi. I feel like that's a little bit much real quick, but hey, who knows? SoFi could just pull back just slightly into that gap, right? Like maybe 1930s, right? Into that gap. Doesn't look too bad there. AMD starting to rock and roll. We can look at those names. I'm seeing even the quantum names up this morning. It just seems like it's just a move all around out there, guys. A lot of charts on like kind of a base look. Just need volume. Just need to break out good levels. Let's see what happens here, man. It's really interesting.
Well, yeah,
Trying to catch some comments in the chat.
Right, here's a SPY with, this purple line. We can just move and draw here at the all-time highs, because we've got fair amount to go there, but we do have some interesting, right? We're through yesterday's high, and then we have the day before's high right above. Obviously, no need to really mark the pre-market range because we are right at the high of the pre-market right now. We opened up this morning in the pre-market, and then we've just been grinding higher here ever since. So yeah, it's a good one just to pay attention to see if there's any individual sectors that might be outperforming or underperforming. Just if we rug pull or something. MSOS is up 3% today, because sure. XBI we talked about earlier, biotechs, a lot of talking heads out there getting bullish. It's one of those I generally ignore those people, but I just like the chart here. Just very nice tight base for weeks. So if we can get above this kind of 85.70, that's an interesting one here as well.
Yeah,
The
remember
sector
they need loans, right? And so rate cuts come into that, right? And so this sector overall has been held back by high interest rates. High interest rates are not friendly to biotechs, guys. So if you guys know that out there, it was interesting, but we got a lot of like kind of biotech action still while we were getting higher rates that went higher, right? We got the weight loss drugs and all that stuff that came out, right?
Mhm.
Can they get really going if they could push on the gas pedal, because now they can actually get some more money, right? And I think that's the important part. Another thing is a lot of these like kind of RDNA, RM and DNA, you know, all these research, all these new diagnostic stocks, all these new AI, all these new cancer treatments. There's so much out there that could get these stocks really moving. So, hey, you can play it with just the XBI, right? And that's what I think is also interesting here. And what Michael's kind of pointing to is that it's just clear as day, the trade there. At least you know 100% where your risk is on these kind of charts. And that's what you're looking for in this type of trade. A nice one. Another one, maybe what about a financial trade? We're going into the financial earnings. They've pulled back for a couple days. Why not just send it again?
Yeah, that'd be an interesting one. If you're also going to bet on lower rates, right? It might just make more sense to take a look at the KRE.
That's why I feel like it's been running the last
days.
couple of days with this with a smaller pullback, right?
Yeah.
We also mentioned yesterday about how lending is going to be easier with the bill that went through, also helping these regional banks. So I think your play there could also be FAS, maybe if you just want to go leverage, or the regional bank one we talked about it yesterday, which is DPST.
Yeah, that's the triple leverage.
And so these are plays here. I like the regional thought because it's like not at the all-time highs versus like the XLF, which is like right off the high. But it more, what do you like to buy? You like to buy charts that are, you know, pulled back, or are you an all-time high type of search, right?
Well, and it's also are you making the bet on rates, right? Because Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, they don't care really what rate, they'll make money anyway.
Yeah.
Regional banks are very rate sensitive. So if you're gonna make they're gonna lower rates bet, then yeah, it makes sense. Biotechs, like we talked about, and then the smaller banks, they're really, like we saw when the rates were going up, a handful of them. Remember the banking crisis where a bunch of these guys went bankrupt because it was too fast for them. So, you know, that's what we need to take a look at and say, hey, if you're going to make the interest rate bet, then it makes sense. If you're going to do the regulation bet, then it makes sense to make the bigger guys, right? Because they're you know, they're the ones that will be able to play the game better if there's less interest rates going on. So yeah, the regionals are interesting. You know, I like this DPST because even if you just got to this prior high right here, you just look at that as percentage basis, like 60% on something as boring as regional banks, because you can do the leverage. That's great. Again, same caveat I'll just give all the time when we talk about these leverage ETFs. They degrade over time. This is the only thing in the world I can guarantee you will go to zero eventually, and then they'll do a reverse split and so on and so forth. So just make sure you're not holding these things forever. You are just holding them for they're great day trading, and they're great swing trading vehicles. If you're looking to be anything less than like a month, you're probably good holding these things. Anything more than a month, you know, maybe you go even to a 2x one, which will degrade a little bit less, or you just trade the underlying ETF, or you just pick a couple stocks that you end up liking.
You look at the best regional bank there is, I think, right now, and I don't know if it'll survive forever, but PNC has been definitely a really good regional bank. Like, I don't even consider it regional anymore. I consider this more kind of bigger, and you can get it all anywhere in the US. I see these branches all the time. I don't have it, but I just say I would definitely include this one as like the JPM of regional banks. I'd look at this.
Well,
We'll
and
call it.
$79 billion in a market cap. Yeah. So you're going to be safe with something. This thing's not going to zero tomorrow. Like, what was it? Silvergate and
Yeah,
First,
exactly.
whatever. There was a bunch of them
Yeah,
that went under.
SNY or whatever it was.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah,
there's
it's not some regional.
handful.
It's not NYCB or something. It's not no little small New York bank or something like that. So, what I like about this one too is that it has a nice monthly candle where it kind of whipped down to 150. Whenever we see these whipsaws type of charts, right? Remember that a lot of times what it does is it washes out the bulls and then the shorts start to get squeezed. These are the good looking charts right now. I like charts like this right now that have shown a pullback in that April time, but have really gotten strong since then and not looking back. Those are the charts we want to be watching. Those are the stocks we can keep up with. SPY climbing and climbing, guys. A gas pedal type of pre-market, at least, as we continue to climb here. Not looking too bad.
The only thing I'll point things to and remind people is there's nothing until FOMC minutes. So sometimes, again, minutes are not rate announcements, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. But sometimes the afternoon kind of dies down, and just so people know, there will be some insanity that will happen at 2, and then we'll just move on. Right?
I think it would be. I think it could be bullish, really, because what you're going to hear in the minutes, right, is different perspectives other than just Jerome Powell, and so that's what people want to hear a little bit more. They already know how Jerome Powell feels about things. They've heard him like literally talk nonstop. But what they want to hear is the other Fed members. Who's willing to cut, who's not willing to cut here is very important. So that's what they're watching for. And we all know that the job's coming up. So all the Fed members are getting more and more antsy about saying, I'll cut here. Trump, do you see me? Aha.
Yeah. Well, and you need to this is a very kind of AI algo type of trade that happens all the time, right? They have the last report and then they have the new report, and they know the words that are different, and then they'll just trade those words, right? As crazy as it is.
All right, we'll see what happens. I still got Pakar on the swing, guys. That's been doing well. I just got an alert on a biotech right here out the gates, RXRX. So I'll be keeping an eye on that one. I know it's a retail favorite. Look at that. That thing's popping already. Let's maybe take an RXRX trade. Looking at some biotechs there, but hey, not a bad looking trade there. We'll see what happens here. Let's get after it, guys.
Gotta check something here. Just not getting any triggers from the bot.
No triggers.
Oh, yes. Oh, I need a second.
All right. Man, Pakar at 99.10 on the offer. I am feeling good about Pakar, guys. That was a really good swing yesterday. I'm going to keep riding that. What a rocket into the open. Let's go, Rando. Let's go. Looking around for trades out there. You guys see anything? Let me know out there. I'm watching right now RXRX, but I'm trying not to be too antsy right now on trades. If I do take this would be a little bit of a scalp look, but I like RXRX on the swing trade style through 6. It's looking good right now. I'm taking a little bit here at 560s, looking for some pullbacks to add into, taking a shot here on RXRX for a move towards 6.
I had to just take me another minute. And again, this is just all part of it. So I want to disclose. I put in the wrong kind of webhook thing this morning. So all of my orders went double to my main brokerage and then none to the trade the pool account. So that's okay.
It happens, my friend.
Here.
All right, looking to ride this RXRX wave. Let's see if we can really get the buying to step in here. There's some buying in there, and I'm going to add it here, looking for a little bit of a bigger push here. You guys, I'll putting up my chart there. You can focus on your thing, Michael. I'll nail in here RXRX. We'll see what happens here. Also looking for Pakar to continue going. Bido into the green, so not stressing about those Bitcoin names. We'll take a look at the watch list also here on the right-hand side. I'll let you guys know if there's anything that's standing out to me. Hims, of course, right out the gates. Hims, one that I talked about. I wish I would just bought in the pre-market there. Look at the 50-30 spot. I talked about 50-30s. It pulled back right there out the gates. Now just undercut there. Now starting to push right back up here. Hims looking good this morning. FLNC, another one, of course, the energy storage name that I talked about yesterday, doing really well. AUR, ARM, IonQ going higher, AMAT and KLAC. You've talked about those semiconductor equipment stocks. AMD trying to push to 139.50. Talked about how AMD tried to get going yesterday. We'll see if it's able to get going today.
Almost done here. I did actually get SBET triggered to the short side.
There you go.
Got another couple to change there, so
There you go.
that
Go
one's
after
looking
that
okay.
SBET. Yeah, that thing has like that wavy look, right? Where it did kind of one pattern, two patterns, three. Oh, on the 4 fail. I like it. It's the pattern that we saw yesterday with Wolf, Michael. So
Yeah,
good one. Good one to get after on that SBET.
and that Wolf was a great trade. But yeah, so I go through, and just so you guys know, I had about 55 ideas that I did, and for all of them, I put in the wrong webhook. So off the open, there's a flurry of orders that went through that should have gone to point A, and they went to point B. So I have to go through these 55 orders and paste in the different. This is just the nature of it, right? So the whole point of this is I set everything up in the morning and then it goes all day. But if I set everything up in the morning wrong, then I have to go back through and try to help fix those.
All right, I'm watching BT here trying to lift. ETHU not looking too bad. It's pulling back a little bit.
Okay.
Clean Spark also.
All right, we are back.
Healthcare leading the action.
Bitcoin got to 109.8 before reversing. So there's just something going on at 110 on Bitcoin that it just can't figure out, can't seem to get through.
Stepping up to the plate.
You know, that's the way she goes. So I've gotten EVTL I can show here to the long side.
Oh, I know this one.
This is, I might stop out already. Stops down here. But nice little, just got hammered this morning, all the way down from.
That's a vertical space. That's like your Archer play and your Surf Air.
From $7 down to $5. Just doing the under VWAP all day, and then looking for this one to potentially trade here off the open. That one's not working out so well right now, but we got SBET. Already taken 7 trades today. 2-day VWAP on that's like 15.57. I doubt I will have the guts to hold that long, but also some of these that I'll talk about set up soon is SANA.
Great, man.
EDT, TRN, SFRM, that one as well.
SRFM, are you short on that one?
Yeah, it's just a little, right?
Yeah, I like that one.
Through the pre-market high and then broke down here as well.
Yeah, I actually like that one too. That's a good looking one on Surf Air, especially based off of the other one that you're getting, right? That's also crashing. So of course, I think, you know, it's all about your risk here, but it does look interesting on that Surf Air.
Yeah,
ripping, guys. SPY is ripping.
The beauty of it is the risk is all predefined. So right now on this new account, this $25,000 account, it's all $25. So every time I lose, it's going to be $25. The win is going to depend on where the 2-day VWAP is. So for something like SBET, for example, it would be like $100 on this SFRM. I'm risking 25 to make 50. So that's why I'm unconcerned with whatever wins or loses, because as I mentioned, I'm in 6 trades right now. So talk about this all the time. Benefit of systematic trading is I couldn't care less about any one trade, because I'm going to just take a whole bunch that all have a very small edge and just kind of rinse and repeat that. But yeah, the SPY is rocketing. I have 1 long and the rest short, so it's not working out too great for me right off the bat. But if we get kind of to these prior highs and then rest there for a bit, I think some of these ones that aren't participating, which is like SBET and all of that, may continue to not participate, which would be good. Trade small, trade often, right?
Yeah,
That's
seeing
where a
some
lot
pullback.
of people get in trouble there with not doing the trade small, trade often. They trade big and a few times.
Yeah, the often part might be a little bit adjusted, but definitely I believe in the small part. Sometimes if you trade too often, though, that could also ruin you.
Yeah, it's all so the over trading is for sure an issue. I would say it's an issue for discretionary traders, because if I
Yeah,
have an edge that I
especially.
can prove, you
Yeah.
want to turn over that edge as much as you can. But
I would agree
yeah,
with that.
for sure with discretionary trading. So the problem is every time you make a decision as a discretionary trader, that kind of takes a little bit of a toll on your decision making ability.
Yeah.
Another one just came through is this RSXT. This one just same kind of idea. No idea what these guys do, but just complete fall apart from $12 down to $6. Got cut in half today, and now just seeing if this can kind of make that VWAP to VWAP move, right? So the pull up, breakthrough today's VWAP, can it make to the next one, which is like 7 something? So
AMD down out the gates, pushing strong here, looking for pullbacks. It's hot. It's hot. I'm ready for it, guys. I'm trying to catch it on the 9 on this pullback if I can get it.
yeah, that daily chart on AMD does look very, very nice.
I'm telling you, I'm trying to keep up with it, guys, because trust me, I have a feeling they'll be talking about it. What you want to see is NVIDIA break up too. So look at NVIDIA today. Strong, strong, strong. Remember I talked about gas pedal day before the open, before it. I could feel the juices. Look at NVIDIA, guys. NVIDIA is pushing right out the gates. What is that? That's gas pedal. That looks like buy program to me, man. When it doesn't even pull back, when you're getting very small pullbacks on the 1, right? It could easily take some volume down there. But what's it getting? Offer, 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 offer. Watch for some good action off of that XLK also showing up there, and look for the stocks that were strong in tech to really show you that strength, like AVGO, right? Like a Micron chart. You're seeing it right now, guys. Soxel pop. This is why you come to the stream, guys. This is why you come. I don't think there was anybody talking about gas pedal day before this open today. And the reason why is I can tell you there's times where I look at the swing setups, Michael, and my eyes were like this.
Yeah.
Like there's so many setups, man. And when it's like that, you don't think other traders are seeing the same thing?
Well, and I think that's perfect, because that's something that I do as well. If I have to work too long to find a setup that's interesting, I just stop. I'm just like, okay, I'm not
Just
trading.
stop.
Right?
It's not about forcing setups. Setups should stand out, right?
Yeah. And I
They
think
should
that's a
pop
problem
to you.
that people have, is they'll keep hunting and hunting, and like, sometimes if I'm at my desk at the end of the day, I'm looking for a setup, and more than say an hour has gone by. It's like, that's not. I'm looking too hard, right? It's
Guys,
time to just
I'm going to
forget
cut
about
this
it.
Bido swing opportunity cost. I'm sitting here at a gas pedal open, and this thing's like moving a penny or two. This is why I find it so hard to trade Bido. To the sideline, you go.
Yeah.
There's no point in staying in a position that's not going to move, guys. Especially when I'm trying to gas pedal and make some money here. So all I got to do is just take a second, go with the winner, right? Picard now in the triple digits. Let's keep working Picard. Picard can have a long run, guys. Of course, I've talked about this setup. Look at the move now. It's looking a lot better.
You pull the weeds and you water the flowers, right? And that's what you do, right? You get rid of the ones that aren't working, and keep the ones that are, right? To make sure that you've got an account that's always going the right way.
That SBET down now towards 1750s. And now you're starting to get to the support kind of looks where you could see some recoveries, but good trade on that one. Don't know how long you're holding it, but definitely looks great, man. And then SRFM, how did that one do? Right back up to the highs? Yeah, right back up to the highs on that one. Some strength there.
SBET, it's around 1650, the target.
Evoke. Right back up too.
So yeah, that 1650 would give a 2-to-1 risk reward. That's also the 2-day VWAP. So nice look on that, right? Fluctuating around flat to down $20 on the now 15 positions I have open. And it's a different world, and I'm very excited for it. This is how more or less I have always traded when I've had access. But yeah, just go figure a better way to do this and share the charts. But that's the current positions on the go for those who want to take a look. There's a lot, and there's probably more on their way. This one, this SFRM, looked like it filled double, so I got to take a look at that. But just look at the SPY here, just continuing, right? This purple line is the 2-day VWAP. We've talked about quite a bit, or not the 2-day VWAP, the 2-day high. So a high from 2 days ago. That's kind of a gap area, I guess you could talk about, right? From here to here, but no signs of stopping, not yet anyway.
Yeah, it looks great out there, guys. A lot of gas pedal in the big tech names. Qualcomm up 1%, Nvidia up almost 2%, AVGO up almost 2%, straight up out the gates. You got to pick the right ones here, but starting to see some good lift off there, even in Microsoft and Meta. We know Meta has been hot. It looks really good here off the 720s, and it's starting to push strong.
Yeah, the Meta chart, I just like that it's basing under this high, so it's dealing with this area and doing really well doing that. So I'm watching that really, really closely.
All right, how's that XBI looking here? There's your push, man. It's starting on that nice little opening candle now. Look at pullbacks to 86 or 86.20s. Don't look too bad there on the XBI. Nice little push out the gates there. Pullbacks right back down. About 50% of this move towards 86.25s is what I like here. We'll see if we get that pullback.
Yeah, nice strong move right off the bat. Probably got filled in some. I know I got filled on a him swing. I saw that come through, pulling back just a little bit here. So I want to see that kind of retain VWAP, but that's a swing. So that's a week plus hold anyway.
Yeah, that's not a bad trade at all there. BTBT starting to recover. That one looks good there. I like that one. Of course, we know that one's running with Ethereum. It's trying to break 4. A lot of people watching this move here. Let's see if it can go for a 4 break here.
SOUN, Soundhound. Looked like it tried to do a little bit of a VWAP fade there. Looks like I missed the initial
gas
candle.
pedal, man. QBTS doing really well.
Yeah, SPY is through. So this, again, this purple line is that high from 2 days ago. We rested there for just a minute. And away we go. We talk about buy programs all the time. This rate, every low is higher than the low before it. You can see this the whole way up. That is like very characteristic buy program.
Bloom Energy, guys. The name that I was looking in the data storage space, in the battery storage space, is just rocketing, guys. This thing got that good support. I talked to you about how JP Morgan signed the wrong analyst. Should have called for me, but definitely Bloom Energy jumping on that JPM report.
So Bloom Energy is data storage, not energy?
No, it's energy storage. So it's for data storage play, right? And so you're going to see that a lot of these data storage ones that can't get the nuclear reactors quickly, right? Because that's going to still take some time. What are they going to do? There's 2 options, right? There's options where you can use kind of different fuels, but I think the ones that make sense are like huge battery storage, right? Where it's just holding that energy when needed, right? And so when it comes offline, it activates automatically and it starts to work. There's a bunch of different plays here. There's FLNC that's also been hot. I'm looking for any pullback in these. They just don't want to pull back, man. If you look at that FLNC, it's just on an absolute tear. I find it hard to also trade names like that are on the absolute tear. I have to look for that 9 EMA pullback. It's hard for me to buy them.
Yeah, you can't, because you just buy here. Where do you put your stop, right?
Yeah, you just have to it's very you're not putting your stop at a level. You're just like calling it, right? You're just like, oh, here, I'm going to put a stop.
Yeah, and then when you're doing that kind of randomly, that can definitely be
Yeah.
problematic, right? I know people who do that. They wait for these crazy things and they trade the momentum on them. And good for you, but yeah, it's scary for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, SPY continuing up for the first kind of what 30 minutes, 30 minutes up, straight up out the gates here. We'll see if we get some pullback. BMNR, there it is.
Back offering.
Well,
Yeah.
SBET would kind of give you also that insight that this could come down, and then offering smart timing that could actually drive SBET further down as bears go searching to short things off of this.
That it looks halted, is it? No, it can't be.
SBET?
Oh no, there it goes. No, BMNR. I thought it looked halted for a second. Oh man, it's going down like $1 at a clip here.
Oh, I see it. It's a crazy move there though. Watch out for the bounces, guys. But yeah, that
Rando.
thing is...
Rando, how's your mom doing, Rando?
Yo, Rando, tell your mom. Call, like, have you ever seen that meme where the guy's like, call? Like right now, call.
Yeah.
Sell.
Yeah. Offerings are the easiest way to pop this.
If you don't do an offering up here, Tom Lee is dumb.
Yeah, and I think
TomLee is dumb if he doesn't do an offering, man.
He's looking at this 10x and he's saying, okay, we're gonna raise a whole bunch of money here. Like,
all right, RX finally getting going there, guys. I still like BTBT, so I'm gonna take a shot on that one too here. As RX goes into the green, I'm gonna risk tight on that, $35 risk. In RX finally starting to lift here. It's finally starting to push. I had the stop place the whole time, and I'm not all about that, but I did just for protection on this. Now it starts to get going. Let's see if it can really make the move. Archer making the move higher. Keep looking, guys. Gas pedal day, and it doesn't mean it's always going to last. Look at the SPY. Look at the cues. Sometimes it's about gas pedal. Right now, it seems like it's it.
Well, and we're even getting, and I always point this out when I see it, we're even getting small cap participation, and the small caps are getting really close to this prior high that they failed at, right? So if the small caps are going, that means it's an everything rally, right? So
exactly.
If you're in the camp that you think that this rally is going to fade a little later today or something like that, then just look for the names that are not going, because when you have the IWM participating, we have MDY, which is mid caps doing well, and the SPY going, that means every stock pretty much across the board is doing well. So make a list of the ones that aren't if you're interested in playing that side.
BT starting to get moving here, guys. I'm going to go for an ad on BTBT and break even on the rest. There we go. Nice little move there. It starts to push. Now RX moving. I'm taking trades here, guys. I'm getting after it here. I can also put up my charts if you'd like. But there's a nice little push on BTBT. Let's go.
Yeah, the Bitcoin is trying again, maybe to coil back here. Again, got real close. So it's 9.8. It got to this time and then fail. And we've been talking about this forever. This 110,000 has just been real resistance. So we got to get to 111, 112 here to kind of prove to everyone that this is finally done. But yeah, got close to there again and then fell. So if this reverses and start to push higher, that's where things get really, really interesting, because you could have a nice little move from there.
All right, looking for some names to start running here now, and that BMNR did bounce a pretty good amount there. If you guys are keeping an eye on that.
Look at the SPY. Look. This
is the SPY is gas pedal, dude. Gas pedal. These are the moments where I'm like, Michael, I just hope somebody clipped that. Because I don't think there was anybody on anywhere else talking about how the markets were looking hot this morning. If anything, I saw some people like trying to bring up bearish thesis this morning. And I was like, no, man. Like, no. Like, no. Not a day like today. Not the way the setups look. And I think we're setting up for higher rides up. We'll keep this going here, guys. I put a stop there on that BTBT. It did pull back a little bit, looking for it to hold the 390s and break through 4. If it comes back to the 388s, I'm out at 386. I'll risk about $100 on that trade. RX looking really good. I think this could run through 6 and further. So I'm just trying to ride it now.
Yeah, this is, if you want to see a buy program, this is the definition of a buy program where the market just cannot even downtick. Even if we go to a 1-minute chart, yes, there's some red candles, but they're all making higher lows. So it just means there's something has been programmed to say on every single micro dip, buy as much as you possibly can.
And I think it's in 3 growth looking like good sectors. So we're getting a lead by technology, healthcare right behind that, industrials, financials, cyclicals. That seems like a really nice stacked up sector of gas pedal, right? Technology, of course, is going to create that effect. It's leading. You've got healthcare, which has been in the gutter. Then you got industrials that are breaking new highs, like XLI just continuing to push, Boeing up almost 4% already. Then you got the financials that want to make the move because earnings are coming. Then you got the cyclicals, which is a rotation that was rotated away because of the tariffs. And now people are rotating to those names. So it's a fun looking day right now, guys.
Bull markets are more fun. Right? You have more fun at parties and bull markets.
I have fun on both sides, but I like shorting and longing. But hey,
good old bull market makes everything easier.
But the bear market gets all these people frustrated.
Yeah, well, the bull markets get the perma bear frustrated, and those are meme stockholders the most fun.
Oh yeah, out of that BT, that's just not doing it right now, guys. Back down on that one, took a hit on that one, but hey, we'll keep battling here. Let's get after it.
Well, the beauty, Rando, of hyperinflation, if that is going to be a thing, is that we don't need to worry about it as equity participators, right? If you have your money in equities
money's going to be worthless,
and inflation happens, then great. That's unfortunate for people who are holding cash, but I hate holding cash. I always have a negative cash position, so for me, I'm okay with it. I feel sorry for the people who can't participate, but same as people say, it's gonna be hard to put fuel in my car because oil's going up. So okay, well, buy oil.
PROK, of course, a biotech still doing well. That's up to 682s now, almost 7 on that. Poke it, Rando.
Yeah, I was going to say, we know.
Poke it.
Like, why are you trading, Rando? Why don't you just give the money to your mom and have her trade it, and then you can just go golfing, go to the beach or something. Here, you manage my money, Mom. I'm going drinking. That's what I would do.
I want a Rando's mom bot.
She was in this, what he said, $1.15 or $1.10 or something from yesterday, and it's at 7. Can
MBIO going higher. That one's an interesting one, guys. That has an interesting. It's a biotech, Mustang Bio, trying to break 4. Interesting, at least. If you're looking into that space, you're looking for some names. An interesting
reversing.
Electronic gaming stock Game doing well today. Engine Game Media. Don't know what the hell that does, but and Sugar P. Shug P. I'm looking around to see what's leading the action to the upside in my scanner. It's BE and AEVA, QBTS behind that, Ion Q. HIM's back down into the area of the buy, so we'll see what happens with that.
The only thing I can see on this Game Square is they're going to host a summer block party presented by Lexus for 100 Thieves. I don't know why that is causing a triple, but that's the only news that they have. So,
popular game title with a smaller name.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, only 28 million shares in the float. It's already done 40 million shares today, so it's done double its float. So it's one of those guys.
Yeah, that's just a push in that direction. What's the other one that I used to like in this gaming space that I used to talk to all the time and I haven't talked to in a long time? Oh man, I gotta look it up. I used to talk to her all the time. And back when gaming was actually cool, when traders would look at gaming stocks. Gotta find it. Want to find it. Gaming.
So I asked her why she bought BMNR and Poke. She said she saw it on CNBC ticker and it was up. She trades on her iPad. Perfect. Why not? And smoking all of us. Just sure. You know, kind of explains the market environment as well, right? You know, if that's
What are
happening,
you doing?
that's working for you.
You're watching this clip right now. I'm gonna clip this. What are you doing? When Randall's mom's killing it, just watching CNBC. What are you doing? Let me know. Comment below.
I'm here programming bots and all kinds of crazy stuff. And Rando's mom just goes, looks good. Buy, quintuple your money. Sure, why not?
Half the traders that spent like thousands and thousands of dollars on courses and courses, just like
should have just gave that money to Rando's mom. You would have been retired by now.
We're doing it wrong, man. We're doing it wrong.
Yeah, it's wild, and it does show, right? Sometimes you're in a market like this where
It's wild, man. It's wild.
You can just throw a dart and have a pretty good chance going to hit something that's rocketing, right? Because this is my meme coin list right here. So Atom, Shibu, Pepe, Dog with Hat,
Pepe.
Oh, XLM, Stellar. This is one of those privacy token things. It's an interesting chart. Stellar. In the equity world, we're
Stellar.
Q's a little bit of a rest, but you can see how, at least so far, they can't push it down at all, right? Every time it's flat. So it just shows there's a bid, right? And they're done chasing, but they're just going to start buying on every pullback. If that's all we could do, that's pretty insane. IWM with a further pullback because small caps suck. I don't know what else to say, but
hey, I do know some traders that don't look at charts and still make money. So just saying that.
Well, with right, I know I'm a quant, so I know tons of traders who never look at a chart, never look at a fundamental. There's tons of way to skin the cat. So
hey,
find your way.
Also, we're always ready to party. If there's a yacht that Rando's mom buys, you just let Michael and I know. We'll fly out wherever we need to go to the yacht party.
Yeah, what a wild time would that be, hanging out with Rando's mom.
Rando, let us know.
Buy a yacht.
I'm ready.
Looking here on just Bitcoin a bit. That's the only thing I can see that's kind of risk on, that's pulling back, is this Bitcoin. We have all of these highs here at 109 even. We got to 110 again. We reversed. Now we're back to this 109 area where we've bounced a bunch. So I'm gonna keep an eye on it.
Started, baby. Get the party started. VIX just deteriorating today. Also, that's a good sign, right? That's another sign that we're going to get this drive, and we're getting that. That's a really good look there.
So yeah, I have just FYI. I've got a pretty big dollar position on right now. So just when I talk my own book, I like to say it, but it does look like we're moving up just a little bit here. I did a big post on the weekend on this, but it's just more. The positioning data shows more people are short the dollar after this insane collapse, and they've been short the dollar in ages. So that's why I'm long the dollar, because I just have everyone's wrong. If we can get above that, that looks great. But just for today, because he was asking, it's not really moving too much, right? It's kind of flat, which is what the market likes. I don't think the market cares about the absolute level of the dollar. They just don't want. They don't want it to move a lot, right? It gets really hard if you're someone like Apple, who sells all over the world, if the dollar is fluctuating a couple % a day. You don't care if the dollar's 110 or 105, you'll just mark up your products accordingly. It's just more about, is it steady enough that we can trade? But yeah, UUP is a good one to play if you want to play the equity. When it comes to these kind of things, futures are fine too, right? You can just trade like the 6E. 6E.
All right.
Euro. Yeah, so you can trade the Euro futures. And not those. There's a lot of these. You guys will know. But yeah, there's 6E, Euro futures. So that's what I'm just short this guy. Because if you look, there's FYI, the DXY and the UUP are like 70% Euro, and then the rest of it's right, the pound, the dollar, the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, all that kind of stuff. But like the large bulk of it is the Euro. So right, I just went 6E and then short that. But makes me think I should open up an account with our parent company, the Fibers. I could just take some of the trades there right in the FX CFD. I just don't take them very often, only when positioning is crazy.
BMNR in the halt. Is it down? I'm guessing.
Ooh, yeah.
80, that bounce to 100, man, that was prime. So this one's following the 9 EMA on the downside, and you did get a little bounce there. That bounced right to 150 after it was at 94. We were watching it. That was a nice look. From there, it went down to 82s. Pretty fast there, guys.
Yeah, DXY 6 components always trade back and forth. Yeah, and you could do cross pairs and things like that. I'm not that fancy, but I just know the majority of the DXY is the Euro. So if I want to buy the DXY, I can short the Euro, or right between that and the yen, you kind of split it up. So SBET, I just heard a little beep boop. So SBET just triggered out. So took profits on SBET. The SFRM, this guy. Took a stop on it initially, back in that position now. So just looking here, you can see that there. So yeah, took a hit and back in just to take another shot there. So again, still sitting at about flat for the day. My EVTL is not really moving, just hanging out here. Trying to look just at the big ones. RXST was another one we talked about. That one's grinding here to potentially to this high. Again, the issue, the only last thing to deal with here is just to make sure I'm adjusting these as VWAP comes down. That's getting really close to exiting.
All right, trying to get a cut down on ANF, trying to get in ANF here. I'll let you guys know if I do get an entry there. AMD should have been the play too. Also, I can still go from scalps there, man. But I'm a little annoyed I didn't grab it in the pre-market. It's just really good trade there, and it's holding well. That's what's going to continue this drive. I'm looking for that to push. NVDL could be a play. Nvidia's pulling back there. Meta is hot, man. That was a chart. That was a 9 EMA pullback to buy for sure yesterday on Meta.
And with AMD, right, this purple line's a pre-market low, so technically undercut that pre-market low, and then went.
It was a pretty, man. It was pretty. BMMR
again,
opens up, halts down, right back down. BMMR, ba-bomb, open up, halt back down.
Ooh, that's a 20% down move just from halt to halt.
Yep. And if you're not ready for it, it'll get you. It'll get you.
RXST, there's the profit target right there. So that's out of that. Again, up ever so slightly on the day. As we continue to test this stuff, which is good. Had a little bit of a mess up in the morning there. Have to just create checklists, which is something we'll go over, doing a whole series in about systematic trading. One of them is to have a checklist before every open. And part of my checklist should now be double check the webhooks, because I had everything kind of set to the wrong area, but that's okay. We learn, we move on, and we don't do it again.
Man, Picard is just doing really well for me, guys. I'm up 2.29% on that. I'm going to continue to try to grind that bad boy. Let's go.
Nice work.
Yeah, that was just I'd look for CAT and XLI to continue as just this sign of strength. And look at XLI today. XLI looks strong today.
Yeah, nice gap up. Tried to sell it a little bit off the open and failed there. So
Big
that looks
part.
interesting.
Boeing pushing strong today through that 220. And a report supposed to come out tonight, so watch out for a sell signal on Boeing.
Sheesh. Yeah, that'd
Report
be
is supposed to come out tonight, guys. Just putting that out there just to be careful.
a little dangerous to hold through. So good luck. But Bitcoin's interesting. So I just highlighted this area and told you guys about this zone right here, this kind of 109. Came back into that and then bounced a little bit. So we want to see 110 break. The reason I think this is so important is because Bitcoin is just used as this risk on metric, this large risk on metric. So if Bitcoin's ripping, it will pull Solana, it will get people interested in meme coins again, right? It will cause this animal spirits to really wake up, which would just propel this even higher. So pulling back a little bit here on the SPY, I'm going to watch VWAP. It's sitting right below us. And then again, this purple line is the high from a couple days ago. So keep an eye there as well.
All right, risk is set on that ANF swing. So I got an ANF swing on, guys. Still in RX, waiting for a bigger pop, but not getting it. Looking for it to see if it's going to run to 6. It's hanging out.
So yeah, PSIL and MSOS is up, and MSOS is actually up pretty okay. I want to take a shot in this MSOX at some point, just to MS.
So
I think you're
gonna get a rescheduling pop, but that's still not enough for what needs to happen. That's the problem. You know what I mean? I think you'll get a pop though here. You're good in the sense that I've watched this trade plenty of times. That's why I'm talking about it, right? Because whenever there's hype or rumors to come is when you play this play, not the news.
Yeah,
the
no.
rumor. This is a big buy the rumors style trade and sell the news. Every single time it's been the news is coming, it's been a sell the news event. So that's one thing just to keep in mind with that. And the big part is that even if you get rescheduling, it's not what needs to happen, which is just pure legalization. Federal legalization is what should happen here. And then these companies could go to the market, get out of the OTC departments, and boy, oh boy, would they get some interest from investors. But they can't do it right now. Even if it gets rescheduling, they still can't invest in them.
Yeah, and the way I look at it is these are awful. This is the worst sector in the world. So I'm never expecting this thing to be a great sector. I'm just looking at it here and saying, if you can time these shorts, especially on this 3 times lever or this double leverage ETF, that's a 71% gain. If you can just get back to that last spike and then probably just risk at the low of this candle. So that's kind of my idea, is that you look at this big wide range breakout, you say, okay, well, if I risk that low, that's 279. So I'm risking 15% to make 71%. That's a trade that I should take. I know someone who's actually made a butt ton of money on these things every time kind of rumor comes out, even though this hasn't gone anywhere, because if you can get anywhere near these bottoms and nail these bottoms, there's like 50-60% gains to be had on this thing on its way to zero, which you could have done the same thing with AMC. Right? You could have made a lot of money on these pops if you time them correctly, as this thing just marches its way down to zero. Q's almost up 1%, sitting at 0.89%. Bought into that little dip. Same with the SPY, got close to this pullback to this prior high, and then also the VWAP and buyers came in there. So far, just more evidence of buying. Every time we dip, there's someone waiting.
I'm looking at maybe a Surf Air Mobility breakdown now.
Well, I'm with you because I'm short. So
I like the bounce. So it's had 1, 2, 3 attempts to get back above that like 760 and really make a run. It could go for a push and then fail, but I have a feeling you're going to get the offer to spread here a little bit closer towards that, and then you'll get the drop through the 720s. And then I think this could really fall down significantly. So I'm watching it for a potential short. Of course, I'm also watching Archer and Joby in a space. They're kind of just hanging in there also. Archer's on the low on the daily, trying to make a move, but hasn't been able to get back above 11. Of course, Surf Air is just a little bit too far gone in my eyes, and it has a blow off top looking candle on the daily. So if you look at that daily candle, those are the candles that I look to end up as being blow off tops.
Well, yeah, and if you just look, the reason I've got it on is just the whole morning above VWAP. Right, took the first VWAP short right here, and then you can see this thing just kind of blew through, hit my stop, and then shorted again. So second time, and again, if I see that one stop out as well, then I just kind of cancel the alert and say, right, no more. I give her 2 times to go, and then watching NVDL as well, just in case the market wants to chill a bit. A little separation between the 2 VWAPs here, so potential little reversal to be had there. But so far, again, pretty good day. Just got 10 positions on as per normal with being quant stuff. So and yeah, nice little bounce, came right down to VWAP, right down the prior day high, dug in, and then started to push there.
There's that Surf Air. There it is. There's the cut towards the 720s. Now I like it here because you can get the real breakdown through this. There it goes. Starts to break. I got in a little bit lower there. The pin just it loves to drop right when I'm getting it. Spread it out right there towards 7. So I got 7 instead of 710 there. Bounce here could be the 720s, but looking for the flush down through the 7 now.
Oh, a little bit of a crazy move there on that one. So we're both short here. So firm is not hedged on this one. Just taking a look around. Again, everything just continues to grind higher. Could be, you know, we had that opening drive and now we could rest until we get some FOMC stuff that comes out at 2. Right, so just make sure you know that. Don't go too crazy with it, because when I take a look at both the SPY and the Q, although bounced off nicely on that pullback, they're just kind of entering ranges. So are these bull flags going to resolve higher and push us higher? Maybe. Or is this one of those that the big move is over and now we've entered kind of game territory, which is something that you see quite frequently in summer and you see quite frequently in the just looking for a big event, right? And even though minutes aren't huge, they're not like, you know, looking at an actual rate decision. It's still pretty interesting little event there. So a lot of people will say, okay, let's turn off the robots until minutes come out, and then when they come out, turn it back on. Again, something I know for sure happens as someone who did a lot of this kind of quant work with hedge funds. They have very much triggers set up. Say, hey, only trade until X period of time in the day and then stop. Or if there's a number that's coming up, wait until the number gets out and then turn on, that kind of stuff. They just don't want to be, it's all about when you're trying to make little tiny HFT style, take a penny here or there. The one thing you don't want to do is to get chopped up in a massive move. So they just avoid those by just turning the bots off before anything that could spark some sort of a big move that they know is coming up. They'll just turn them off before that.
All right, guys, we'll see what happens. SRFM bouncing a little bit here, looking for the 9 EMA rejection off of the 720 spot. That's where it broke. So we'll look for the rejection there and see if it really starts to come down. I could add there, but I'm really not trying to open up too much risk. I got RX in the red here, so just trying to work both of the positions. And overall, the market is on a little bit of a pullback here, but it's sideways on the SPY, showing me more and more. I think some buying can come back in here. It's just also the Q's still sideways at the top. So it's just like small pullbacks in different areas. Try to stay with the strength. Cyclical, still in the green. Ooh, what's doing well today? An interesting one. Residential construction's pushing strong.
Wow, yeah, look at this heat map. Green pretty much across the board here. It's funny because Amazon doing very well, but if you followed all the news, then because I put a tweet up. I'll find.
Yeah.
The wife didn't appreciate too much, but let me see if I can find this.
Oh, I saw it. I saw it.
Where is it? Yeah, here it is.
That was a funny one.
She's not on here, but she follows it. So Amazon Prime Day down, spending down 14% in early hours. And I just wrote, yeah, but my wife hasn't gotten home from work yet. So those are one of those. Everyone was saying that how bad these Amazon Prime numbers were. So the fact that we're gapping up today, and this chart actually looks really nice. It's very tight base that's happening right here. And it would make perfect sense if everyone is saying these numbers are very bad, that it rips up, right? That to me, that would make absolutely perfect sense. Oh, no, I don't want to close. I want to go here. So yeah, nice rip on Amazon today and then chilling out with the rest of the market. Got short some NVDL here. So NVIDIA just taking a little bit of short on that guy. I'm going to pause that alert now. There we go.
The numbers. What numbers? They're not going to wait for no numbers. There is no numbers.
Yeah, no numbers today. The only thing today is this FOMC, right? Which, again, is just the minutes. So it's not going to be crazy. But, again, they could chill out. We have crude oil, I guess, for anyone who's an oil trader. You keep an eye on that. But those inventories happen every Wednesday. That was my favorite trade before the robots took over. I used to love doing that. I would sit there every day and, or every Wednesday. And then I think Thursday was natural gas, and you just have USO open. The squawk guy would yell at you whether they were better or worse than expected. You just look at the tape, take it, punch in, punch out. It was a very good little 10, 20-second scalp that was pretty reliable. And then these darn robots came. And now I'm doing the same thing. So
all right. Got one position in the green, one in the red, battling here, battling, guys. That SRFM starting to drop a little further. Just needed to start crushing down a little bit here.
Oh, yeah, he meant FOMC. Yeah, and they could, right? If we're looking at the SPY here, you had a wicked move. So it's very possible that we enter a range until FOMC minutes.
This is the thing, though, is that you got to understand that on the thought that, is there anything that's going to come out that's unexpected? Or is anybody expecting unexpected? No. It's almost like we have the print already.
Yeah, I just think it's more of, if you're a large institution, right? Do you put trades on right now, or do you put trades on at 3, right? When all the numbers are out. And quite often, again, just from my experience with hedge funds, they'll just turn off whatever buy or sell program they have, and then they'll wait until those numbers, because the numbers basically just make an influx of liquidity. They don't care about the price direction. You get an influx of liquidity after any kind of event, and that's what institutions are always looking for. That's why we're looking for these liquidity grabs and moves like this, is because if you're a big guy, you're spending millions of dollars a year just to enter and exit the market without getting seen. That's like your whole shtick. Because if everyone knows what you're doing, you're going to lose a couple percent on either side, and that chalks up to a big amount in the long run. So back at VWAP on the SPY, again, ever since we kind of had our first red 2-minute candle up here, we've just kind of been in a range. We're within 30 cents of that range. So again, just there are times, like we talk about, Mitch always says, to hit the gas pedal. That was this morning.
Yeah, right out the gates. You had to be fast.
Yeah, and then now we're in that kind of range. So what you got to do is take the time and pick your next targets. Because if we break out here again and we make another move, you're going to be happy that you took the time now and went through a couple names and developed a couple of ideas, did that. If you think that this isn't over yet, well, we're getting a nice pullback consolidation. So it probably means a lot of stocks are doing the same thing, pulling back.
XBI pulling back. XBI back at 86.20.
Except BMNR, that's a little more than a pullback. We're now down 31% today, but 40% from highs, nearly 50% from highs. So from these major highs, we're down 60%. So this one's a bit rough. And I always say that, these are fun to play until the music stops. This is one of those names that, right, you want to play until everyone goes, okay, I'm done with this, and then moves on, and then just move on from that, right?
The spread is costing me some here on Surf Air. I would have been able to take some gains, but the spread widened out to like 30 cents there at the bottom. And it was trading at like 5 cents before this. So it's definitely spreading out there, trying not to give the ability of the shorts to get out when it comes down, right? And so that's a little bit of a scary sign. Could get a squeeze off of that action.
So
But we'll see.
NE
Like right now, it just spread it out 20 cents there. So it's costing me here.
It's all about your time frame. There's Vic. This on a longer term time frame. You could see this as a bear flag, but if you're looking zoomed in at all, it doesn't look very bear flag at all. So yeah, it's all about your time frame. If you think this bounce is kind of overdone, then yes, but in the short run, that looks really bullish, actually. Nice, solid, you've got that wavy kind of uptrend, pullbacks are getting bought, that kind of stuff. Oh, NNE. That might make a little more sense.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And just look at SMR. Just look at SMR. It's just tough, man. And these are, you could call it a bear flag, but I just think it's a trend reversal. That's all it is.
Yeah, and these things are so extended. You could get a healthy pullback of like 20% on these, and they're still very strong.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the Qs continuing to pull back. Haven't hit VWAP on the Qs just yet. So the SPY has kind of been relatively weak intraday, but both of them are sitting right on VWAP here. So let's see what happens if we end up breaking. IWM. Yeah, IWM was first to get smacked as normal. It doesn't really surprise too many people.
Surf Air, man, it's about to cost me big, man. And it's just a little frustrating because I was trying to get out, but the spread wasn't filling me at the bottom there. Probably just going to get runned over here through the VWAP if it gets back above VWAP. So we'll see what happens. I already set the stop there. If it comes back down, I'll handle it, but gotta get out now at this point. We'll see what happens on that one.
Bitcoin trying to bounce off this level right here that we talked about, came right into it. Let's see if we can get a little push to that 110.
Yeah, Bitcoin's being whacked, man.
Oh, it's just this range is crazy for Bitcoin. The fact that we are from the beginning of July essentially at the
now
same
Bitto
price.
wants to move.
Hasn't
See if
moved
Bitto
at
gets
all,
going now.
Well, yeah, we'll see. It will move 1-to-1 here with Bitcoin, which again, this 109 area was a big deal. Let's see if we can get those prior highs are 110. That's what we've been watching for this whole time. Look at Ethereum, relatively strong there. Solana, relatively strong there. So actually, Bitcoin is being a little bit of a laggard. So,
oh yeah, gonna get squeezed out here right now in that BMNR. Oh, not BMMR, and Surf Air just got hit there. They searched for me. They just spread that thing out 20 cents there. They're just like, I'll take you. I'll take you. And look how the offer just drops there. So the offer expanded there, took me, and now it's just dropping. That's that algo. It'll come get you.
yeah, so many trades on. Whew. All right. Oh yes, I still have that one on as well. SMFR RFM. Yeah, it came nowhere near the 2-day VWAP, so that's why I didn't cover. And just trying to take many trades, trying to take a hand off with them. Things have slowed down now, which is generally speaking the way a lot of systems traders will work, especially for day trading, is right off the open. You get a whole bunch of alerts and you got to manage those and deal with those. And then as the hour winds on, that first hour of the day, things dry up a little bit. And then we just wait to see if anything else happens throughout the day. But the beauty of it is that will alert my phone and all that kind of stuff. So you don't necessarily have to be here. You just have to be attentive enough that if your phone vibrates, you go, oh, I wonder what trade I'm in now. Cross-border transaction using Ripple and Solana are just being realized. Yeah, that could certainly be the case. Solana, I think, is a good kind of idea for the meme side of things, right? If the main reason I want to look at it is that if we get these big move in Solana, USD, if Solana starts to break out, then you may actually have some of these meme stock names break out as well, and they end up being really interesting names to play with. The same reason that I want Solana to break out, for the same reason I want IWM to break out. It's just a more fun world in which we're having a nice breakout in the IWM, because it means there's a lot of these little tiny junky stocks that are moving that you can make longer term trades on, not these really micro cap ones, but real companies that are making good moves that you can kind of swing trade. And same with Solana. If Solana breaks out, then we're getting a nice breakout in a lot of these meme stocks, which again are fun to trade. And Ethereum is the same thing. If Ethereum breaks out, then you can start to have things like Atom. You can see moving here, and these are all built on Sand. I know is built Cardano. These are all built on the Ethereum network, so these could get nice little moves as well, right? So that's why I want these guys to move, just because it's a more fun world if we get IWM actually moving higher here, but kind of completely reversed there on IWM at the 2-day VWAP now. SPY fell out of bed there a little bit, fell off the 2-day VWAP or that 1-day VWAP, and is kind of, I don't say crashing, but it's selling a little bit. So retraced most of that gain. We had that opening drive that, like we were talking about, you had to be quick on, and now we're kind of pulling back and entering in that range, which again could take place until FOMC happens at 2. I expect USD to rise as well. Yeah, well, and USD is important to take a look at when you're looking at things like Bitcoin or you're looking at gold or whatever, because they're all denoted in the dollar. There is a world in which the price of Bitcoin doesn't move, but the dollar rises, and that makes Bitcoin sell off, or vice versa, right? The dollar falls and Bitcoin rips just because it's being denoted in the dollar. It's why when the dollar falls, it's good for all these currencies, which means if you're bearish to the dollar, you can buy gold, you can buy Bitcoin. There's a whole bunch of things that you can own to take advantage of the fact that you might be looking to, take the other side of a play when it comes to that, right? So XBI pulling back quite a bit, still up 1.1 or 1.6 on the day. MSOS holding strong here. So this makes me a little more interesting. Now that we've put on this nice base here, if we get a breakout in MSOS, I'm going to load up my personal account, it's a couple bucks, and just put it into MSOX. 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 There we go. A little bit of liquid, but again, just 2 times or 3 times leverage, I think, on this guy. So a little bit of weed leverage.
Surf Air now back down towards 685 is probably going to go for the breakdown now after stopping me out big.
Yeah,
That's
I'm still.
BS.
I got my stop right there at the high. I can just show you guys. And here's the current.
That's such BS, man. It spread that out at the 740s on the offer and just got me. So what happens when you put that stop out?
I've got stops out on everything. It depends on how tight the stop is, right?
Yeah.
So that's current position is this EVTL. So there's one small bug that I have to take a walk in the woods when we're done here and think about, in which it's if there's multiple blue arrows or green arrows, it will take multiple alerts. So that's why this EVTL loss is actually so big, because it took it twice. All right. So I bought here and then it didn't quite stop out and then it bought again. So that's just the next thing I got to figure out. It's very easy to go in and manually pause the alert after you get a refill. But of course, you want to systemize everything. There's a very big benefit to being lazy when it comes to this stuff, is that as a lazy person, I don't want to have to go in and manually do that alert. And then the same thing, every time I see a human enter the equation, then something's gone wrong, right? So we've got to figure that out as well. I don't want to do like once per daily bar. There's a way around it. I just got to figure it out in the code. But someone's asking about Ripple and what we think about Ripple. It's just been basing here forever. So, right, it was December 2024 that did this crazy move, and then we've just been consolidating here for a long time. So I think I have no opinion as long as we're in this base. The question is, if and when we're going to end up breaking out. If we break to the upside, that's obviously going to be a good thing. I would just kind of, which looks nice, looks like it could happen here. I would just put a stop loss kind of in this area, and then we can go XRP US. So that was the market cap. So yeah, to have a stop loss at like 188, and that would just be my. If we break down, time to go. If we break out here, maybe it sees 350 again.
CoreWeave continuing the drop. A lot of traders talking about how they can't get borrows out there and the stock continuing to fall. So that could be a way to make money where other traders cannot because of the structure that we have. CoreWeave continuing to fall fast.
Right. BMNR bouncing a little bit. Yeah, Q's just kind of completely reversed there off of that high. Our boy Walter say anything?
I mean, it's just a pullback. The VIX is getting a little stronger, but I think the SPY is kind of just pulling back that first gas pedal out the gates. Still having to undercut the opening low there, opening candle. Kind of watch that just to see if you bounce off the open.
NVIDIA becomes the first company to hit 4 trillion in market value. Insane. And then there's just Trump screaming to lower rates. That's basically all Walters had to say today. And then, yeah, the tariff on copper. Yeah, copper prices have been like this breakout yesterday. Copper. This move yesterday has been pretty wild out of copper. We've been watching this against the $5 for a long time. But yeah, huge move there yesterday in copper. Big thing to look at. FCX. Yeah, no problem, Shay. Yeah, FCX is a good one to trade for potential copper, but this has been
the problem is
consolidation, right?
Yeah, the news. I like Southern Copper Corp, which is SCCO, but this is going to be a sell the news, and then we'll probably get rebought. I'll be looking at the 50 EMAs or 50 or the 200. It's right around the same spot. Look for that gap to fill on SCCO. Then maybe that trend line that you even have drawn to come into play. Then I'd be looking at these. A lot of times when you hear that type of news, it's like either you jumped on the algo and you got it right when it came out, or it's going to be maybe a sell the news event, right? because the rumor was already out there. And it's also an easy kind of trade. I said in the pre-market, I was like, yeah, this probably just comes down today, washes out some traders that got excited about the headline, and then you'll get another chance.
Yeah, and it's right. Also, does anyone believe the tariffs anymore? Right. So, I think there's going to be a lot of that kind of tariff fatigue, if you will, in which they're like, hey, he keeps talking about tariffs, but there's doesn't ever seem to actually be tariffs. So,
yeah,
right. Yeah, so now we've broken the low of the day here on the SPY. So that's something to keep in mind. We've gone red from the open as we tried to take that high. So we had the big thrust up and then nothing and then big thrust down. So we need to see the next. What is the next? And that might be one of those things in which it takes a little bit to happen because, again, we're getting closer and closer to where lunchtime starts and then also FOMC and what's going to happen there.
all right. We'll see what happens in the markets.
Big U-shaped day.
Yeah,
this to me could
just getting pulled back.
Well, and look at the stair step up. That was very buy program. This is just a little bit more of a puke. So that's why I went to check Twitter for news, because this feels like someone intentionally buying up stocks, and this felt like a news thing, but I can't see anything. So I was thinking that some news came out, some tweets, some BS like that, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So we just need to wonder if it's just somebody who said, okay, I had enough, right? We need to just hit a button there and get out of some stuff. And it could just be people selling right before that all-time high, because we got very close to kind of challenging this all-time high back here before it happened. So Chile has the most copper mines. Yeah, copper, you can always look at copper and generally trade FXI with it because they're the largest consumer of copper. So
You know it's boring when they're talking about Vietnam ETFs.
CTG solar moving.
Man, I could not buy that tan breakout, guys. There are so many people pointing towards that. I was like, have you not seen this chart in the past?
Yeah, but if everyone hates it now, right? Maybe that's the time.
I mean, everyone has hated it always. Michael, everyone has hated it always. That's the problem. And the thing is, in this environment, even if solar were to start doing well, Trump would just come out with a comment. Next thing you know, it's right back in the gutter. What I look at a lot of times is how often does tan pop and drop? It just pops all the damn time and drops.
Yeah, Tag, I can trade Canadian companies. Funny, I don't. I've got more money in the US dollar than I have in the Canadian dollar, which is hilarious as someone who lives here. But yeah, that's one of the. Generally speaking, though, if it's a decent US company, then it has or Canadian company, then it's got a US counterpart somewhere. Just got triggered for a swing. We'll talk about it because there's nothing going on from the day trading side of things. It's just, again, just you guys are seeing the way I'm working towards day trading. This is the same way I swing trade in this CAPR, Capricorn Therapeutics. No idea what they do. Just saw the alert come up, took a little quick look down at my broker. I bought some. So a nice little, I kind of like the weekly pattern here, though. Nice pullback after a huge move higher. Looks like something that could be maybe heavily shorted there.
Yeah, the XBI is still looking good around the VWAP right there. I talked about it early when it popped to 87 and 86.20 pullback. It's right off of that. Still looking good there with the XBI. And you're mentioning the biotech, right? So that's why I brought it up. So it looks good there.
Yeah, and I'm interested in this because it's one of those. Just hearing this guy talk on this podcast, he made a lot of sense of the fact that how important mergers and buyouts are to this biotech space, right? Most of these companies don't even want to be companies, right? They're inventing a drug. They've got finance to invent the drug. They've hired people to invent the drug. They don't want to do distribution and all that craziness, right? So how interesting it is now that there's not a government environment that blocks buyouts but actually encourages buyouts, how much there could be kind of buyouts in this area where that would really, really spike this index, because you think about it, for every little crappy biotech company that gets bought out, it's just going to spike it just a little tiny bit, right? And again, in most cases, the company wants to get bought out, because if you're building XYZ drug and you had an idea for a drug and you're testing and whatever, you probably don't even want to deal with distribution and packaging and all that kind of stuff. You just want to get your drug approved and then get your company bought out from someone else, take a big fat payday, and go on to the next thing. So very important for the sector. Still in this SFRM, it's getting close here to the 2-day VWAP. I might just punch out here just a bit. It's 648 is where I'm supposed to be.
I don't even want to talk about that, man. I'd be up like freaking $700.
Oh, there's
go
route
yourself, SRFM.
So we took that one as well. Again, we're sitting, we're risking. Lord. I got nowhere near, so I need more and more and more trades. Got nowhere near my buying power requirements in any scenario. So
good Lord, SRFM.
As we solve the last issue that I just talked about there of the trading multiple times a day, then it's just going to be slowly starting to crank up the risk. Right now we're risking $25 on the trade, but we'll go higher and higher and higher, right? There's a bond auction at 1 p.m. Sometimes that heats things up. Yep. Sometimes it's one of those weird events where 90% of the time no one will care about a bond auction. And then all of a sudden it will either go way better or way worse than expected. And then everybody cares about a bond auction for a one period of time. And then goes back to not caring. But yeah, it's the 10-year is interesting. We got 17-week bill that's coming up. Maybe. I don't think I would bet on, just because, again, most times not going to do anything. Sometimes going to be a big deal.
There goes BMNR. It's trying to make another move here to the downside.
Oof.
I was looking at it, but I'm too deep in the red to take a shot on this thing, but it looks good.
Rando, get your mom's. You should, for scenarios like this, because Rando said his mom's at work and doesn't have his iPad, so can't get out. For situations like this, she should give you the password so you could at least call her and say, "Hey, mom, this thing's falling apart. Do you want to still hold it?" And then figure out a way to go from there. So yeah, that could be. It's probably not going to go back to like the $10 or whatever she bought it in, but
it's a dropping.
It's big drop. The SPY kind of looks like it's settled. We came back in again, went kind of red from the open into the pre-market range. Looks like we may have been kind of chewing to a bottom right here, right? Might be chewing in a little bit of a bottom there. My mind med, just looking down, is quite a bit, up 20% the last couple of days. I'll take that. That when the rest of them still aren't. CMPS, yeah, still not looking good. CYBN, that's down on the day. ATAI, that's down on the day. So nice little look there. PSIL, I'm watching this. I'll probably just get into this as an index if this PSIL can ever get over $15 instead of trying to pick the winner. I've already owned a bunch of MindMed. I'm up a crap ton on that. So for the rest of it, I might just do this and just get into this guy, because at $15, if we ever get back to anywhere near like halfway through highs, it's like a 5 times your money. It's a good move on this as a sector. And we met the guy who's running it. So definitely make sure you're paying attention, because yeah, that was an interesting interview with someone that's running this active. Sometimes it's good to outsource. If you like the sector, you think the guy who's actively managing it's going to do an okay job, you just buy the sector and he'll pick the one that's pick the ones that will do the best, because it's not like one of them is going to win and the rest of them are going to go to zero or anything like that. MSOS still holding, trying so hard to break out. I've got an order in now on my brokerage account. Essentially would be the same if this broke out here. Just gonna take a shot, right? It's just a trade. We can get back to this prior high, MSOX, talked about this, right? Going back to just this prior high is a 70% gain. So you got to take a shot. If you think there's a 50-50 chance that you'll get a 70% gain before a 20% loss, you got to take that swing. You just have to. My NVDL is doing okay here. Not as good as I thought it would be based off what's happening on the Qs. So that just shows there's some relative strength there in NVIDIA, and probably then in chips than everything else.
Yeah, it's trying to hold on. But the leak is starting to come in now.
EVTL, this one's not doing well, but again, as long as it holds these lows right here. Again, I'm trying very hard. I will fail sometimes, but I'm trying very hard to not intervene in any way, shape, or form in the eval account, because just for the purity of it, and I think it'll make a really great YouTube series on this channel and mine. I just talk about how passing an eval without hitting any buttons. So currently up around $100 on it of the 1,500 you have to make. So just very slow. Next is just build some more strategies out. I'm gonna try the fade, the undercut and rally thing that we've been talking about here for a while, Mitch. I've got a couple more strategies to test out, and then it's just about expanding the risk per trade until I can kind of watch the open P&L, and it's an acceptable risk, but I don't get close to that stop out zone. That's what, like, how close can you get to that edge without having to deal with that there? So
yeah, market's really starting to leak a little bit here. We'll see if it can catch around yesterday's resistance, right around this kind of 622 area. I think it's an interesting area to watch on the SPY.
Yeah, 621.31 is the 2-day VWAP, so that'd be kind of line up there as well.
Yeah,
so
perfect area to start to see maybe like a wick candle. Look for a little speed up and a slowdown here, and then we'll see if things start to kind of rise a little bit. I'm starting to see certain sectors rise in the last 15 minutes. That's important to see, right? So what is that? Healthcare, financial services, utilities, industrials. I'm looking for those financial services to start to balance out here, and then start to make a little bit of a move up. That Rocket's still doing good. Rocket, baby. Rocket Mortgage.
No. RKT. Jeez. Yeah.
She ain't pretty. SoFi's pulled back. Remember, I talked about SoFi being a little bit too far gone. Well, there's your pullback for SoFi.
Yeah, that's a nice confirmation of that top and tail candle right there for sure.
With the gap, right? It's just like a perfect setup. Shorts are gonna love that one.
Well, that's a good important lesson too. Is, right, you look at a candle like that, and that's your warning. That's not your signal, right? That's your warning. You get a bearish continuation like that, that's your signal to say, okay,
the break of that candle.
Yeah, you put a stop up there, right? If you're right, maybe it bleeds down into the 18s, 17s. So
and what we mean by that candle, what is it the candle really shows, right? Is that you got some opening action, the stock pushed higher, but didn't close into strength, right? It closed more into that weakness, which is important there for SoFi. And that's not what you want to see certain times. You want to see stocks closing into the strength, right? The high end of the move kind of closing versus the pullback right there. That's what gave the ability to set up for a trend line move today, where it looks like it's going to run and then drops right back to support.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's not technically quite this, but the gravestone doji, it was very close to a gravestone doji, and that's one of my favorite because it's very kind of a visceral way to talk about that. Where the idea is that the guy who created candlesticks had stories of all these, and the gravestone doji is essentially this candle if it just closed like a couple ticks lower. And the idea is you sent the soldiers out to war, and they all got killed, and they just sent home the gravestones. So it's morbid, but that's the idea, is that the bulls, they went out to war on SoFi yesterday, and they got killed. So that creates that kind of top there as well, right? It's where if you have a gap or something like what's happened today, is there's just kind of pre-market euphoria, and then ever since the open, it's been sold.
That's a shooting star. Shooting star, they call that bad boy, right?
So shooting star is the 3-bar. So if it closes below here today, then yeah. So the shooting star is kind of the 3-bar. You have to study all this stuff. It's like thankfully it's slowly leaking out of my brain after I took my CMT, because that's why it's important, and why me and Mitch just took a second there to explain the idea behind it. Is because
these are the different stars that are available to you, right? And so what I called it was more like this, right, where it closes on the low end, right? There's like the doji, right? And these are important to look for, guys. They don't always mean complete trend reversal, but they give you the sign of, hey, watch out. And that's all you really need as a trader, right? Is, hey, watch out. Right.
Well, yeah, and right, so maybe not to short right off the bat, but like kind of like you mentioned, for the watch out, like what if you were long there? Maybe that's your signal. Like if you were long SoFi, if this candle closes like this, that's kind of confirming that shooting star pattern, right? The 3-star pattern there, then you go, okay, right? that's enough. Take your profits, or take some of your profits. A lot of people will use that and do that as like warning signals of, right, okay, I'm in a good. If you bought SoFi anytime in the last couple weeks, you're up pretty big on it. So to have this as kind of your, maybe potentially your early warning, where you're going to take some money off the table, again, that makes sense, right? Again, assuming we close like this and we don't get some. The most fitting thing is, after we've done this rally in the morning and then we've just sold off, is that if FOMC comes out, we just rip back up. That would probably put nail in the coffin of the bears. But we hit, so this yellow line right here is the 2-day view app. I can make this a little bit thicker there, right? So we came right down to the 2-day view app, held pretty much perfectly for now. So watch this low of the day to see if that holds going forward, because we are seeing some evidence that there are some buyers coming in around this 2-day view app. So yes, they're not perfect. No, and it's one of those, we don't expect any. There's nothing in the market that is perfect, and we don't expect anything in the market to be perfect. All we're trying to do is, I always explain trading as a coin flip game, right? If we were to flip a coin, and every time it hit heads, you made $1.50, and every time it hit tails, you lost $1, you would want to play that game all day long. And that's the game we're trying to set up for ourselves. And then from there, we're just trying to push it just a little bit, right? Can we kind of weight the coin so maybe it's 51% of the times it's going to go our way instead of 49? Can we make maybe 175 when it hits tails? Or could we lose only 75 cents when it hits heads, or and just taking this probabilistic game that there is no certainties on. Anyone, again, we say it all the time. If everyone says, hey, this stock is going to do this, run from that person, because nobody knows. So we're just trying to take this game of probabilities, and we're just trying to kind of weight it in our side. This is why, you see when I'm trading like this, again, I'm taking swing trades and day trades and crypto trades and futures trades and all of this, and everyone just has a slight amount of EV, and I'm just spreading my money all throughout those trades so that I can look back at the end of the year, and if I just took positive EV bet after positive EV bet over and over and over again, then eventually you just go, okay, I made money. That's all we're trying to do, right? And the best traders in the world will understand that. And a great book, if we're talking about books for this kind of stuff, Any Duke, Thinking in Bets. It's a very, very good book on this. It has nothing to do with trading. It's more of a poker thing. However, it's matches perfectly.
Yeah. BMMR still going down off of that 69 break, now down to 61. And then we got the question in the chat, why no halts on that? Well, because if you see on the first two halts, right, if you measure those candles, those are 10% in 1 minute. So you got to get that certain amount in a certain amount of time frame, right? And a lot of times they'll just kind of stair step it like it's been doing right now, where yeah, you'll get a move, but it's not the full 10%. It's like 4% or 5% or 6%.
Yeah.
And it's just not the full 10%. So that's why it's not going into that halt. I know for that person that asked that question on this name. I know it remember
and
at the top there.
The halt rules are complicated, but if you play stuff that moves crazy like this, it's good to go on the actual website of the different exchanges, this KCNYSE, and just take some time, sit there with the website and ChatGPT and just go through them and take a look at it. Because yeah, if you're constantly trading things that are getting halted because you're trading those high volatility names, nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you know the rules so you're never really worried about that kind of stuff, because it's part of the game, right? If you're going to trade things that are going to move 10% a minute, they're going to halt. So, right. So you better know in what conditions they're going to or not going to halt.
All right, guys, we'll start to wrap it up here in just a second. It's 10:58. We'll see what else moves out there. Still got the swing on Pakar, A&F. Still got a position in RX. We'll see if that ever gets going. And we'll see what happens on some other trades, and look for maybe some action in the afternoon off of that FOMC minutes. Of course, we are still getting the pullback after the opening rip today. We'll see if for some reason it can catch a little bit of some love after this. Maybe we get a dip. Maybe we just get an expanded range, right? And so one of the things is just keep looking to see what happens there. Do we go back down towards the 618s? That's one thing to think about. That's the low around Monday's action. We got to like 617.88. So we'll see if we get back there towards the 618 today. That would be kind of the further leak down. VXX trying to push off the 46, but it's not a big push, guys. Normally I don't react on that VXX unless it's pushing like 60 cents to $1 or something like that. It's only 38 cents. That's just a small move, guys, for the VXX, especially as it's being pushed down. It's being pushed. So the pop should be strong if it really wants to move, right? So that's what I would be waiting myself. I'm waiting for that day that the VIX jumps $2. Yeah, that'd be probably the day where I'm like, okay, this is where the bigger pullback is happening, and I can kind of play into that. We'll see what happens. Like always, guys, it's good to be with you guys. I see a lot of you guys joining in on X. If you guys want to join in on our main stream, that's on YouTube, just like these guys in the chat. It's good to see you guys like always. Talk, Vic, G, all you guys in the chat. Rando, say hello. Tell your mom we said hello. Tell her to sell that BMNR. We'll see what happens with that. And shout out to her overall. Love the approach, man. And hey, if it works for her, like she said, rather get lucky than be good. Well, she's really lucky. So we might have to take her to some casinos out there and spin the wheel on the roulette wheel, because she looks like she's hitting these numbers dead on, right? So we wish her the best of luck. And like Rando said, she might need to learn a little bit on the stop, setting a stop in the profit. But hey, she rode that thing like a champ. We'll definitely give her a shout out. Really good trade overall, regardless if you lose some of the gains. You don't view that as a negative either. Like a gain's a gain at the end of the day. You can say that you didn't manage it the best, but also just give yourself a pat on the back. It's a hell of a trade overall. So shout out to you guys, James in the chat, all you guys out there, keep pushing. We'll keep rooting for you guys right here on Trade the Pool. See you next time. Any words for those traders out there into the afternoon, Michael?
No, just big number coming. Chill out until FOMC at this point, I'd say. And then probably something fun will happen.
Sit back, relax, and we'll be back with you guys tomorrow.